Hello, you guys. How is everybody doing? I'm gonna let you all start coming into the room and getting the notifications. Okay. I don't know. I want to hear my song while I wait for you all to come in. Hey, Black Barbie. Hey, Tyranny. How are you all doing tonight? Tyranny, you must be in the other channel because I don't see your I need to check to see if what's his name? Um I can't think of his name on here. It's right on the tip of my tongue that Cypress was saying last night. He said that he's blocked. I don't think he's blocked. What's his name? Um, I can't think of it because I could check right now. Hey, actual treasure. Hey, Lakita. Black Rose. Y'all doing okay tonight? I'm actually perked up tonight. At first, I wasn't gonna come on. I was like, and then I looked at like my school. I logged in to my school stuff, and it's got the countdown on there. I got 11 days before summer school starts. So I was like, I think I'm gonna try to get on every night. Because summer school is a fast pace, short, fast pace. I got 3 classes. Nobody takes 3 classes, but I'm trying to go ahead and get everything out of the, just out the way. So the classes that I'm taking requires a lot of reading, which is cool because I'm really excited about taking African American Lit, and I could have waited to take it in the fall so I could really get the experience of it, but it's not being offered in the fall. So take it in the summer. Hey, positive vibes. Some of you all don't have your wrench. Positive vibes. Are you one of my moderators? Hell, I be forgetting. Y'all have to excuse me. I'm drinking on. Play my song, y'all. I didn't know Hitter was on. I just checked. I just checked to see if Hitter was on, and he wasn't on. I looked to see if Hitter was on. Oh well, we both just gonna be on, I guess. They already messing with the live stream. I think I know who it is that be messing with my live streams. I think I know who it is that be messing with my streams. Um, I think it's messed up too. I think it's messed up. And they think I don't know it's them, but I do. I think it's messed up, and I'm going to confront them. At some point, I'm going to confront them. Um, oh, okay. I was going to say because when I looked at, I was like, let me see if Hitter is on, and I didn't see his live on. I was like, okay, it's late. He probably ain't gonna come on tonight. But at some point, I'm gonna confront the person that's messing with my live streams. I'm gonna bust them out on here and cuss them out too. After I sent them an email. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, you guys. You all, I wanted to talk about Pooh Shiesty and the others got a quick trial date. And I also wanted to talk about Tony Carruthers again. I don't know what it is, but I had never really taken an interest in Tony Carruthers' case. I had heard about the case. Years ago. I remember I was a teenager when those murders happened. I remember when I was younger, hearing about it on the news. Of course, it was definitely um everybody, they played it on the news a lot. It was definitely heinous in nature. And you know, there were a lot of rumors surrounding that. I remember when it happened, the rumors, okay? I don't think that that's true, but those were some of the rumors. Like there was just a lot of um talk. I remember before I ever started working for the sheriff's office that I remember before I ever started working for the sheriff's office, um, people talking about the murders. And then after I started working for the sheriff's office, people talking about, and I think we talked about that last night. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. Like, I think I've taken a, it's not a fascination, but an interest. When I was doing private investigative work, um, I did a lot of work for the most money that I ever made came from working for capital defense attorneys, right? But it was really stressful because they work to um, try and get people death row sentences commuted, or if they were looking at if they was charged, they was going to charge them and and, and uh, um, bring in the death penalty. Of course, they would. Um, um, it was real stressful for me when I was I was working those cases. Although I would take them because they paid a lot of money, right? But it was extremely stressful. Um, when because it was a lot of stress on the defense attorneys and stuff. And so, of course, y'all know I was reading some of Tony Carruthers' paperwork last night. I think I'm gonna read all of it tonight. And you know, just working with defense attorneys, especially those high profile defense attorneys. Hey Diane. Diane, I was getting ready to call you today and I got busy taking statements. Today I was so busy. I'm gonna call you in the morning though. Before I get started, before I get started at work. But it was extremely it was extremely stressful. And um but the thing about it is like I enjoy like um talking to people and talking to families and um yeah, talking to people and families. And believe it or not, a lot of these men and women, when they go to jail, it's so unfortunate. Just like the young man, I cannot think of his name. What's his name? Ezel, Ezekiel I don't think that they gave Ezekiel. Looking at trying to give it to him. Did they give him the death penalty? I'm gonna have to relook at that. I really Ezekiel Kelly is one of those ones. I don't think he should have gotten the death penalty. I think he should do life. He did kill those people. He did go live. But if you look at his eyes, Ezekiel had been given a bad drug. And unfortunately, people don't wouldn't believe this. When Ezekiel started to dry out and he came down off of whatever it was that he had taken, he really didn't remember a lot of what he did, right? And I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just thinking about now. If do I believe that Tony Carruthers did? Yes, I believe that Tony was involved. I do. But I'm gonna tell you something that bothers me about this. I do believe that Tony should be in jail. What's up, Peter? I do believe that Tony should be in jail. But I have an issue with James Montgomery being out and Tony is getting ready to yeah, those were those demons coming out of Ezekiel. I have an issue with James being out and Tony is getting ready to um, be killed, okay, by the state. I do believe that Tony set put James on to his friend because Cello trusted Tony. I do believe that. And that was nothing right about that. I believe he helped to set it up and all of that. But I don't know if I believe it, which it don't really matter, I guess, because it's all know, after he left it for Montgomery and Montgomery's brother and some of these other people whose fingerprints that they found um, to unfortunately dispose of these people. Now, um, a lot of the family members, you could tell that the young 17-year-old young man's dad, he said that they're going to be there tomorrow. You know, they've been waiting for this for a long time. But I remember when I started working for the sheriff's office. Am I cutting off bad? Oh wow. Can y'all am I still cutting off real bad? I mean, I don't really know what to do at this point. If I'm still cutting off real okay. And so I think it's extremely unfortunate that oh, when I started working for the sheriff's office, I remember they started um talking about, you know, James Carruthers and Tony Carruthers and James Montgomery. And it's funny because the jailers that work for the sheriff's office, they were they would talk about what they do is they send packages and stuff to the live to stop the live. Whoever it is that's doing it, they're gonna have a heart attack and die. And I'm telling you, they are because they're just evil. That's just low down. Why would you come in here fucking with my live? I'm trying to talk. It ain't but 45 people on here. So that's why you know that it is a sickness, but you ain't got to worry about I ain't gonna have to worry about them long. Okay. I think it's a damn shame that, but I do know that there's a lot of mental illness, a lot of low down people that are on here, but I mean it's not gonna stop nothing because I'm gonna still do my live and I'm gonna put into the atmosphere whoever them motherfuckers is, they're gonna have a heart attack and die. And that's in the atmosphere because I'm sick of them. It's a damn obsession. Okay. So, anyways, um, with Tony Carruthers, okay, they talked about how from this day forward, when I have them to fix it, because they was monitoring my computer at one time. And it's funny because somebody sent me a email and was telling me who it was that was involved in messing with this stream. And they told me how they do it. And so I kind of hired somebody and it stopped to monitor it. It stopped. But it's okay. I know I guess do it again. But anyways, you guys, um but I think that is sad. It's funny because people be knowing. Well, we'll talk about that at the end of the. I ain't gonna even talk about that because sometimes you just have to. The element of surprise is always better. But anyways, you guys, and so with Tony Carruthers, it's funny because like the jealous will always say, okay, the jealous will always say that Tony Carruthers that James Montgomery was way more dangerous than Tony Carruthers. Okay, way more dangerous to Tony in my chat, and I think it's funny to them because they probably think I haven't been told who they are, who it is that's doing it. I'm going to be honest. I believe in the death penalty, depending on if it was my family or someone else's family that was unalive. I asked my mother today. I said, "What do you think about Tony Montgomery? Tony Carruthers. You know, based on the crimes, do you feel like? What do you think?" She was like, "I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't believe in the death penalty." So um, like I said, I do believe that he had an involvement in it. I do. I absolutely believe that he had an involvement But what bothers me is one is out walking around living his life on the outside. And it was told to me that the one that is on the outside was the most dangerous one of them. But like I said, people always said that Tony was the one. Your super chat won't go through? I don't know what's wrong. Can somebody try to send like $1 super chat and see if it's working? Can somebody send like $1 super chat and see if it's working? Hey, Miss Rochelle. They are doing it right now. Thank you, Diane and La Vegas. They were able to send theirs through. Actual treasure. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So, anyways, you guys, like I said, they're gonna execute him. And his and every you have protesters that are saying just wait until they test the DNA. You had Kim Kardashian. I guess she was all down in Memphis. Um, Kim Kardashian was all down in Tennessee. She was trying to get the governor to stop it. People are saying that they need to just wait until they test the DNA. But here's the thing about that. I don't really know what the DNA would really prove. And let me just say that, and I'm gonna say this because it's obvious that there were more people now than I am never giving out the stream. I'm never going to drop the link ever again. I'm never going to share the link ever again. Um, I think that is because I do know that when you share, I'm gonna tell y'all what I saw one day. I was looking at one of these other shows. I believe it was AK-47 or something like that. Thank you, Diane. It was AK-47 or one of them, and it was this Hispanic dude that was in his chat that he was communicating with, and he was saying something to him, and then the next thing you know, he was up on AK-47's panel, and AK-47 said, "Wait a minute, how did you get up here? I did not send you the link and I did not share the link." And he said some, he was like, I'm gonna have to tell you how I do that. He said, "How you do it?" He was like, it's a way you do it if you share, like, if I want to show like the news clipping or something like that, it's folks that's been hackers, they been hackers, they've been around the people that know how to hack. So I mean, I guess this is what they do to try and sabotage the channel. But like I said, they ain't gonna be able to sabotage it too much longer. Okay. And then I'm not going to renew with StreamYard either. I'm not gonna renew with StreamYard. Because I think it's easier for them to hack StreamYard. Okay. So I think because I do an annual, I think it's up in a I think they said I got like 12 days or something like that. I'm not gonna renew. I'm gonna figure yesterday. The governor responded on yesterday. Yeah, the governor responded on yesterday. So, like I said, it's so unfortunate. And you all, I would appreciate it, like when they start messing with the stream, because what they want is, I guess they can't stand. It ain't but like 60 people up in here. They can't stand to see the numbers. Y'all don't click out. Maybe they'll go somewhere and die. If y'all don't click out, if they don't see the numbers go down, maybe they'll go somewhere and die. Okay. They see it ain't working. If they mess with the stream, they like to see the numbers go down. Okay. So y'all just kind of stick around if it starts messing up. And like I said, then maybe they'll go somewhere and die. And they probably already sick. Okay. Anyways, y'all. So I said that I was going to finish reading Discovery. It's pretty gruesome. It is. It's pretty gruesome. And I before I got that Discovery, I had called one of the clerks, and I was like, you know, I really would like to. I guess my issue is, what's up, Cypress? I guess my issue is, um, hey, Deuce Dizzle. I guess my issue is that, okay. All right, you guys. I am. I got people saying just push through it. Maybe they'll go on. Thank y'all for sticking around, y'all. This is sick. The person that's doing it is totally sick. It's totally sick. Anyways, you guys. So I like I said, I ended up. I got 15 pages of the paperwork, and I started reading it, and I just think, just based on, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm just an investigator, and just based on, I guess, the fact that I'm not saying that he should be exonerated. I'm just saying I don't think that he should be executed, because you got the person who police have said, and other people, that the most dangerous one of them is out. He's out walking around living his life. I do hold Tony responsible for the part I believe that he played in this, right? Um, but we'll read that a little later. But I also want to talk already, you guys. They have set their trial dates already, and right, by a technicality. You're right, with Vegas. It was by a technicality, and that's why he got out. Tony Carruthers said himself. He says that they offered him 25 years. They offered him 25 years, and I do believe that they had offered Tony Carruthers 25 years because I believe they knew he set it up. Okay, and he did. I think he helped. He did help. Helped to set Cello up, but he probably did not go down to the grave and kill them. Okay, when he say I wasn't there, he probably was not there when they went to the cemetery, right? I mean, it's still bad though because they robbed them and you knew that they was going to kill them. But according to law enforcement, James Montgomery, um, I just think if James Montgomery is going to be out walking free, I think that Tony Carruthers should his sentence should be commuted to life. Tony Carruthers said himself that that they offered him 25 years and he said he was not doing 25 seconds. Okay. He didn't want to take a deal and they offered him a deal. Okay. And he didn't want to take that deal. So it's extremely unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Um, but we're gonna come back to that because I'm gonna read um some more of the discovery. Okay, I'm gonna read some more of the discovery later on. I'm getting ready to talk about Pooh Shiesty, the live star messing up. So I think whoever it is don't want me to talk about Pooh Shiesty for some reason. Okay. Um. Anyways, you guys, Pooh Shiesty and the rest of them, their trial has been scheduled. Now, you get to thinking about, okay, it normally takes a while. Hey, Miss Brenda, it normally takes a while for a trial to be, for them to set a trial, to get a trial date and all of that. But I think that their trial has been set for. Hold on, I'm getting ready to pull it up, you guys. Hold on one second. You all make sure y'all hit that like button for me, okay? Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe, okay? Make sure you all please like, share, and subscribe, okay? Hold on one second. You all make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. I'm getting ready to pull it up. Why do you all think that they set the court date so quick? Okay, here it is, you guys.
With Vinted, Kayla can easily earn extra cash. She just has to list and sell what she doesn't wear, all with zero fees. Don't wear it?
Breaking news, a trial date has been set for rapper Pooh Shiesty and 8 others accused of kidnapping and robbing Gucci Mane at gunpoint. That happened in January. Jeremy Pierre joining us live. Jeremy, they were arrested what, late March.
It's all taking place in January.
Hold on, you all. Hold on one second. Hold on, guys. Just give me 1 minute, okay? I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. I mean, the hackers is really cutting up tonight. Um, the young man said that that he got blocked. And I know I didn't block him. You all make sure y'all hit the like button. I'm trying to pull it up, okay? You and me together forever. You and me, just us two. Okay, you guys, hold on.
This all taking place in January, but the arrest happened in March. We were live. We brought that to you as breaking news when they FBI, TBI, and other law enforcement agencies raided Pooh Shiesty's dad's home, who also remains in custody, connected to this case as well. Now, again, all nine of them, excuse me, still in custody, and their trials will be held July 6th. Now, remember, Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, they are connected in this case as well. Shiesty's lead attorney, Bradford Coyne, stepped away from the case in April last month. However, he still has attorneys on his team representing him. Now, of course, we're going to continue to keep our eye very close on this case. Pooh Shiesty, if convicted, could face up to life in federal prison.
Yeah, look, that's quick. Well, we'll see what happens. Sometimes these things are delayed over and over again. All right, Jeremy, thanks.
Okay, you guys. Now, do you all think, I just gotta ask, do you all believe that do you all think that they're going to throw the book at Pooh Shiesty, you guys? And at Big 30, I think they're going to throw the book at Big 30 too. I really do. I think they're going to throw the book at Big 30. Deuce Stills says, I think Pooh one of the ones that could have brought in big money, like NBA YoungBoy. I do too. I think that Pooh Shiesty, uh, I really wanted to. I know a lot of people don't think, but I want to see Pooh Shiesty do well. Pooh Shiesty really had the world at his feet. I really hate that he did not, unfortunately, didn't understand or don't know, didn't know, understand or didn't know how to handle the fame. I really hate that Pooh Shiesty allowed uh, them to trick him out of his position. Share and subscribe. He says they made some bad choices. They did. They made bad choices, and I think they're gonna make them pay for that. The only way they don't pay for that is if they got attorneys that people working within the Dallas judicial system that is helping them to pay off the jewelry. Okay, to pay off the jewelers. They done paid off the judge or something. I think that's the only way they're not gonna get got. And it's very unfortunate. It is. It's very unfortunate. Um, it is. It's very unfortunate. I hate that Pooh did this to himself. I really do. And I think the thing that it still I'm like I can't understand is how did how Pooh father is gonna be right there with him, you know. Um how is his father gonna be right there with him? And allow his son who had the world at his feet help him to crash out like that. You know what I mean? Like you would think that with somebody parent being there with them, they would have been saying, "No, son, if nothing else, no." His dad, they say his dad is in the industry. His dad is uh, why didn't he know to go get a lawyer to do, I can't understand why they went in there and did that. I don't. I guess they thought that they would get the opportunity to rap about it. I think that they felt like they would get the opportunity to rap about it. I mean, I don't know. I really believe that they let Gotti gas them up. And I know folks say, well, you be trying to blame Gotti for everything. I ain't trying to blame him, y'all. I mean, it's the truth. I think Pooh allowed Gotti to, and the daddy allowed Gotti to make a fool out of him. It says greed could be the only reason, period, in my opinion. Yeah, yeah. It's sad though, but we'll see what's gonna happen. That's the quickest damn court trial. That I mean, not unless they ask for a speedy trial. I'm sure that's got to be what happened. And you could do that. You could ask for a speedy trial, and that's probably what happened as it relates to them, child. So that's gonna be interesting, you guys. It is. It's gonna be real interesting to see how all of this turns out. It says they did get egged on by Big Head. Yeah. Um, I think it's sad though, you guys. I do. It is. It's very unfortunate. It is. It's very unfortunate. You all make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay. Make sure you all please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. So, like I said, it's gonna be interesting. I like I said, I think the only way that Pooh Shiesty and them are going to get off with this is if they y'all, I want to do something right quick. Because when I read a little bit of this discovery in a few minutes, I don't want them to be messing with the live. Y'all hit the like button for me. don't know what I did with the thing. Anyways, you guys, it says if someone has a soft spot in their heart for him, yeah. Do you all think that Gucci is going to testify? Do y'all think that Gucci Mane is going to testify? Um, y'all, it ain't gonna matter. People focus on Gucci, and then they got to worry about the ones that's got the. They got to worry about the dudes that was with Pooh Shiesty that ain't got no money for attorneys. You know, they got federal public defenders. I mean, they're way more dangerous to him than Gucci ever could be. Gucci and the rest of the victims. That's who they need to be worried about more than anything. Um, so I mean, all I can say is it's a bad situation, but here's the thing. They put themselves in that bad situation. They can't blame a soul. They put themselves in that bad situation. So, um, because that should have never happened. So, when people, and what I can't understand is the nature of people. The nature of people, they want to blame Gucci Mane for Pooh Shiesty and 30 and them going in there and doing what they did. There is no excuse. They tricked themselves out of their position, and Gucci went up even more. Okay, off of what his music and Shiesty's that took the stock up even more, and Gucci getting every dime of that. So I don't understand why Shiesty didn't have better when you got somebody like Gotti who like to send people out. Okay, I can't understand how Gotti letting Gotti send them out. I guess because he got a little bit of money. They said, yeah. Hold on 1 minute, you guys. I started to do this before I got on live. Hold on, y'all. Okay, you guys, I'm back. Hold on, you all. But I kind of think unless Gucci Pooh to pay some folks off, I think that they are going to throw the book at him. I think they're going to throw the book at him. You guys, if I go off for a few minutes, don't leave. Because I might go offline for a few minutes because somebody's doing something. If I go offline for a few minutes, don't leave, okay? I'll be right back on. Okay? Okay. Because when I read this discovery, hold on. Okay, you guys, I'm back. Okay, you guys, I'm back. Can you all hear me a little bit better now? Or is it still lagging? Think that they are going to try and throw the book at Pooh Shiesty unless they have, and Big 30 and all of them, unless they have bought the jewelry. Unless they have bought the jewelry, okay? So jewelers or whatever, but it don't really matter. People talking about Gucci, even if Gucci, I just had somebody to run something. Um, but anyways, even if Gucci, don't testify, okay? Even if Gucci does not testify, you guys, um, I think they still have a lot to worry about if they have not bought the people on the jewelry. Okay, I think they still have a lot to worry about. And I believe that one of the reasons that the trial is so quick is because you can request file a motion for a speedy trial. Okay, you could yeah, for a speedy court date and all of that. So I'm pretty sure that's what it was. That's what it is. Um, Even like I said, you had a person that was assaulted. Are the other guys who got the do they expect for the other guys that's got the um federal public defenders, do they expect for them to take the charges? I think maybe they need to worry about them. They're not going to want to go and do a whole lot of time for nobody else. They're young dudes, okay? So they're all young, so they may need to worry about them. There's no telling what is going on with that. But as far as Pooh Shiesty, I really hate. Hey, King Deshaun, I really hate that this happened um as it relates to Pooh Shiesty, okay? Because like I said, Pooh Shiesty had the world at his feet. Pooh Shiesty had the world at his feet. So I really, really hate that he did this to himself. I hate that he did this to himself. So y'all, it's really a sad thing. It really is. Um, It really is. So, like I said, if you can't, I mean, if a person's father helps them to crash out, I don't really know what this world is coming to. Really, I don't. I don't really know what this world is coming to. So, like I said, it's gonna be interesting. Like they said that the trial is supposed to be, I guess, in the summertime. So I'm sure everybody's. I don't know if they're going to. I don't really know if they are going to. I don't really know if they are going to televise it, but I'm sure people might go if the hell if they got a court date that quick. Okay, if they got a court date that quick, I mean, I'm sure the trial will be pretty quick too. So this is a prime example, you know, and then. It's something, you know. They got a speedy trial. You know, maybe you got to help them to get a speedy trial or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know. So since well now I'm not gonna give him that much power, okay, because he ain't got none. But like I said, I hate that Pooh Shiesty allowed Yo Gotti to trick him out of his position. And that's exactly what he did. Pooh Shiesty was still, I've said this from the very beginning, he was still a 1017 artist, which means until he was able to get out of that contract, he was still signed to Gucci. He was one of the biggest artists. He was at this when he got out of jail. There was a lot of anticipation. It was Pooh Shiesty this, Pooh Shiesty that. He kind of drowned out all of the other artists, uh, that was on CMG. Okay, all the artists that was on CMG, he kind of drowned them out. So, Gotti pushed Glorilla, right? He want to make her his bread and butter, and um, Pooh Shiesty had overshadowed that. And I still say that Gotti looked at Pooh Shiesty as competition because he was competition. That's just the truth of the matter. You sign to his enemy, he is still competition. He is still competition. Right. And so if I think he put in their heads that they was gonna get this much money, that Pooh Shiesty's own damn daddy wasn't even thinking right. Okay. His own daddy was not even thinking right. He helped him to crash out, which is really sad on a whole nother level. And so they all went crazy, even Big 30. Big 30 didn't think about, he been out all that time. If he was supposed to get a deal with CMG, Big 30 been out all that time. Yo Gotti could have been signed Chopper Gang or whatever. He could have been signed him if he was serious about doing it. Right? He could have been did it. But he didn't do it. He made an ass out of them. And I believe he wanted to try to gas them up to go over there and kill just like he did the rest of them, the other dudes. I think he really wanted to gas them up to go over there and kill Gucci. It's just that at least Pooh Shiesty had enough sense, because they said that Pooh Shiesty said to them, don't kill him. Okay. They say he said don't kill him. I'm glad at least he had enough sense to say that. So, you know, yep, as a father, you supposed to set the right. He was supposed to set the example. And so that's I to me, I don't understand it for the life of me. And that's a scary thing. How the hell you get your damn thing open? Sit down. Sit. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how my dog. Hold on, hold on. Yes, they are. He got that door open. I don't know how he did it. Now that's Roscoe. That's Roscoe, the scary one. Anyway, y'all, make sure y'all hit the like button. So, like I said, this is gonna be interesting. But I hate Pooh allowed them to trick him out of his position. You think about it though, Pooh Shiesty is still he's still young. And so he really need people around him that are really business minded, not sharks, not sharky people like Yo Gotti in them. Okay. What Pooh didn't understand is if he had gotten out of that contract with 1017, Yo Gotti was going to give him just a little bit more money and do the exact same thing to him that he claims that Gucci Mane is doing. He wasn't gonna do any better. Yo Gotti just mad that he was the top artist and he was signed to Gucci Mane, because you know Yo Gotti feel like anybody that comes out of Memphis is supposed to be he feel like he's supposed to be able to rape them financially. Okay. And if he can't do that to create generational wealth for his family and stuff and get them a little bit of money so he can own their name and all of their stuff, what he likes to try to do is just like he did Dolph, send somebody to kill the CEO, right? And that's the exact same thing. He has a pattern. He like to kill CEOs because he think he gonna be the last one standing. Okay. And so, but I'm glad Pooh Shiesty didn't take the bait. Straight drop them was too dumb. Okay, they did it. They thought that they was really gonna come up off of the back of Young Dolph, and unfortunately, he's sitting in jail for the rest of his life. And I'm pretty sure somebody telling him that Yo Gotti is a god and gonna be able to get him out one day, but he ain't. And so, unfortunately, you got people like Straight Drop that has messed his life up. It's looking like Pooh Shiesty and them have messed theirs up. That's the scary thing, you guys. It's looking like Pooh Shiesty and them, because it's gonna be hard. Like I said, not unless they done pay some folks off to get up out of this. It really is, and I hate that for Pooh. I really do. I hate that for Pooh. Um, I wish, hey Chocolate, I really wish that he had did this thing right. I really do. I really do. So, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me, guys. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Make sure you all please like, share, and subscribe. I hate that. Yeah, I hate that for Pooh. But they can't blame the system for whatever happens to them because they did it to themselves. If they mess around and get, if he had the right people around him that was business minded, and because if he had the right people around him, they would have told him right off the bat, Yo Gotti is not the route to go. Yo Gotti was going to financially rape him too. He was just going to give him a little bit more money to satisfy him. I can't understand these young men selling their souls and everything, their generational wealth for a few coins. That's why they need to get the right types of people around them. They got to get the right types of people around them, you guys. So, like I said, I think they're gonna try to throw the key away on them, but um, that's the quickest time I've ever seen a trial set, and I mean it is the quickest by far, the quickest by far. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe. Okay. They're going to set an example out of him. I hate this for him. Yeah, I hate that too. I think they're going to set an example for him too. I do too. And Big 30 too. Big 30 is not, I shoot, they probably going to give him just as many years, but you notice you don't really hear them talking about the others. So, um, I don't know. Like I said, Gucci ain't who they need to be worried about. Gucci may not testify at all, but there were other people that was there that was assaulted. Those people are going to get on, they're going to testify. They are going to cooperate. They are. Yeah, Big 30 is a follower. I can't understand why Big 30 did that. I can't understand why Pooh did it. And I can't understand why Pooh Shiesty Daddy allowed that to happen and he was looking at it. Y'all think Gucci gonna tell? he already, he already, he did. I think he did the right thing. He already, put some paperwork on it. He had to. He wasn't gonna let Yo Gotti just take his stuff. So he really did have to put some paperwork on it. Um, they said the daddy thinks like a YN. I tell you, that's a damn shame, ain't it? Who has the princess lawyer? They in Texas. Yeah, but they in Dallas. They're in Dallas and not in Houston. I mean, but he could very. I mean, they got him a speedy. They got him a speedy trial. So, um, I don't know. Maybe they will. But who's taking care of the other young men that's got the because y'all know that's gonna be a problem if the other young men are convicted. Not only that, are they all gonna be tried together? Mob Ties did what Pooh said. Remember, they wasn't getting along allegedly. Yeah, a father is supposed to protect. A father is supposed to protect. Since they are well known in Texas. I tell you. You all hit the like button for me. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe. Mm. So, Chocolate, do you think that Tony Carruthers is going to be able to get a stay in the 12th hour? Hey, Stanley, do you think that Tony Carruthers is going to be able to get a stay in the 12th hour? Yeah, I think that Governor Lee is determined. And listen, the crime was heinous. Do y'all want me to finish reading that discovery? Do you all want me to finish reading that? Where's that discovery? Remy, on there. Let me see. We're gonna go back to talking about Putu. Y'all tell me what y'all want to do. Y'all want me to finish reading that Tony Carruthers, that discovery that I got, or y'all want to keep talking about Putu? Y'all tell me. Believe that, because I think both of them should be doing, either execute all of them or none of them. That's how I feel about it. Let's see, you guys. So we stopped. I was sleepy last night. I was tired. Um so I think we stopped at the Jeep Cherokee. It was talking about the Montgomery brothers, right? It says the Montgomery brothers and Tony Carruthers did not return Hines' car until approximately, maybe I should go back up. It says the Jeep Cherokee that Anderson had borrowed was found on Mississippi on February 25th at 2:40 a.m. It had been destroyed by fire about 3:30 a.m. after he was informed of the fire by law enforcement officials. Okay, so it says Harris, because I don't know if I want to say these people names, so I have to think about it. Harris telephoned Dolores Anderson's home, and Miss Briggs then discovered that neither her aunt Dolores nor her cousin Marcello's had returned home. Briggs filed a missing persons report with the police. The Montgomery brothers and Tony Carruthers did not return Hines' car until 8:30 a.m. on February 25th. The car, it says Hines drove James Montgomery and Tony Carruthers to Montgomery's mother's home and then drove away with Jonathan, whom Hines described as acting paranoid and nervous, repeatedly told him that they had to kill some people. About 2 hours later, Montgomery and the petitioner came to Hines' home looking for Jonathan. Hines advised the petitioner and James Montgomery that he was celebrating his birthday, and he asked James Montgomery to give him a birthday present. James agreed to give Hines $20 after he picked up his paycheck. And James also agreed to have Hines' car washed immediately as a birthday present. Hines, the Montgomery brothers, and Tony Carruthers drove to a car wash, and James Montgomery paid an unidentified elderly man to clean the car. The man cleaned the interior of the car and the trunk of the car. Neither Carruthers nor James supervised the cleaning of the car. After Jonathan Montgomery abruptly left the car wash, the petitioner, which is Carruthers and James Montgomery, asked Mr. Hines what Jonathan had told him, but Hines did not tell them. Several days later, James Montgomery came to Hines' home and offered Hines an AK-47 assault rifle because Montgomery said he had heard that Hines was into it with some people on the street. Montgomery told Hines the rifle had blood on it. Hines testified that he interpreted this statement to mean that someone had been shot with the weapon. On March 3rd, 1994, on Dolores and Marcello's Anderson, Jonathan Montgomery directed Detective Jack Ruby of the Memphis Police. Daniel's grave was located 6 blocks away from the grave site of Montgomery brothers' cousins. The Montgomery's brother's cousin. Daniel had Daniels had been buried on February 25th, 1994. Pursuant to a court order, Daniel's casket was disinterred, if I said that right, and the authorities discovered the bodies of the 3 victims. So they dug the casket up. Um, okay. The victims were buried beneath the casket under several inches of dirt and a single piece of plywood. As employees of the cemetery testified that a pressed wood box or vault had been placed in Daniel's grave during working hours on February 24th, and it would have taken at least 2 people to remove the box. Daniel's casket had been placed in the grave inside the box on February 25th. And according to Dr. Hugh Berryman, one of the forensic anthropologists who assisted in the removal of the bodies from the crime scene, there was no evidence to suggest that Daniel's casket had been disturbed after she was buried. Thus, it can be inferred that the bodies of the 3 victims were placed in the grave and covered with dirt and a piece of plywood prior to the casket being placed in the grave. Okay. Dr. Osi, when the body of Dolores Anderson was lying at the bottom of the grave, the hands of all 3 of the victims behind their backs. Frederick Tucker, the 17-year-old feet, was also bound, and his neck showed signs of bruising caused by a ligature. A red sock was found around Miss Dolores Anderson's neck. Marcello's Anderson was not wearing any jewelry. Dr. Smith testified that Dolores Anderson died from asphyxia caused by several factors: the position of her head against her body, dirt in her mouth, um, and nose, which means they buried her alive. Okay, she was inhaling the dirt. and trauma from the weight on her body. So they threw they threw her son and the Mr. Tucker on top of her. So they threw her in the grave first, and then they shot the other two men, in which it didn't kill them, and then threw them in the grave on top of her. And then put the casket on top of them, put dirt on top of them, and then a plywood, and then the casket, threw the casket on top of their bodies. Um, okay. Um, the position of her head against her body, dirt in her mouth and nose, and trauma from the weight of her body. Frederick Tucker had received a gunshot wound to his chest, which would not have been fatal had he gotten medical attention. Okay. He also suffered injuries from blunt trauma to his abdomen and head, resulting in broken ribs, a fractured skull, and a ruptured liver, which means they took something, maybe like a bat or something like that, and beat him with it, a big stick or a baseball bat. That's what they did. That's when you hear them talk about the liver. And Dr. Smith, Marcellus Anderson, had been shot 3 times, a contact wound to his forehead that was not severe. So they shot him in the forehead and it was not severe at all. Okay. So he could have lived with the shot in the forehead. Okay. Because it says the shot in the forehead was not severe, and he got 2 shots in his neck, one of which entered his windpipe and severed his spinal cord, paralyzing him from the neck down. The wound was not instantaneously fatal. Anderson had also suffered blunt trauma to his abdomen, so they beat him with something too. From compression forces, Dr. Smith opined that each victim was still alive. Now, Cello probably would have passed away, because they said that, but he didn't die instantly, because they shot him in the forehead, and they said that that was not a life threatening, so it must have went out of somewhere before it hit his brain or something. But they said that the bullet in his head was not life threatening. They shot him twice in his neck. One went through his windpipe, and he still didn't die. Okay, so he suffocated, but he would have been paralyzed. They said that Mr. Tucker would have been paralyzed too, but the shot that Mr. Tucker received absolutely was not life threatening at all. Defendant James Montgomery presented no proof, primarily by attacking their credibility of the state witnesses. Okay, that's what it reads. It says a health administrator at the correction center testified that because of an injury to his arm, James Montgomery had been given a job change on October 6, 93, and could not have worked at the cemetery after that date. So they did get someone to testify. That's why I say I don't believe that Tony Carruthers. Did they say James Montgomery or Tony Carruthers? Shit. I'm gonna have to stop drinking this wine, because I be forgetting and have to go back and read it. Did I say, because this wine mess around and have me forgetting. I'm already forgetful. It says change okay, so Tony Carruthers, okay. Did it say the arm testified that because of his injury of his arm, Tony Carruthers had been given a job change on October 6, 93. And so that was before the murder. So that's why I said I don't believe that when they say that it was other men that had to move that casket, Carruthers' arm was messed up. She said, I know I get to drinking that wine to relax a little bit. Carruthers' arm was messed up. And so he couldn't have, that's why he say he wasn't there. And he probably didn't go down there to the grave. But I do believe that he had a part in it. But as far as shooting them, I believe that was Montgomery and some more men 100%, right? It says an investigator appointed to assist Carruthers with his defense testified that he had interviewed a man named Mays who admitted he did not know anything about the master plan to which the Carruthers referred in the letters until Carruthers was released from prison. One cross-examination, the investigator admitted that Mays said that when he was released from prison, the petitioner had explained that the master plan involved kidnapping Marcelo Anderson, Tony Carruthers' brother, and another witness testified that Jonathan Montgomery was not at the scene of the drive-by shooting involved testified that he and Tony had been visiting a friend between the hours of 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. the day before the homicides were first reported on the news. This testimony was offered to provide at least a partial alibi for Tony for the early morning hours between February 1994. However, on cross-examination, James admitted that he did know the exact date he and Tony had been together. Tony Carruthers also called Alfredo Shaw as a witness after seeing television news reports about the unalivings in March of 94. Alfredo Shaw also telephoned Crime Stoppers and gave a statement to the police implicating Tony Carruthers. Alfredo Shaw later testified before the grand jury, which eventually returned the indictments against Tony Carruthers and Montgomery. Prior to trial, however, several press reports indicated that Shaw had recanted his grand jury testimony, professed that the statement had been fabricated, and intended to formally recant to the grand jury his testimony. Therefore, when Tony Carruthers called Shaw to testify, the prosecution announced that if he took the stand and recanted his prior sworn testimony, he would be charged with and prosecuted for 2 counts of aggravated perjury. In light, Shaw's attorney and allow Alfredo to confer privately with him. Following their private conference, Shaw's attorney advised the trial court defense counsel, including Tony Carruthers and the prosecution, that Shaw intended to testify with his prior statement, grand jury testimony, and any inconsistent statements Shaw had made to the press were motivated by his fear of Tony Carruthers and the Shaw as a witness and as his attorney at his initial statement to the police and his grand jury testimony. Specifically, Shaw testified that he had been on a three-way call with Tony Carruthers and either Terry or Jerry. I won't say the last name. And during this call, according to Shaw, Carruthers had asked him to participate in these murders, saying he had a sweet plan and that they would each get $100,000 apiece and a kilogram of cocaine. Following the arrest for the murders, the partitioner, Tony Carruthers, was incarcerated in Shelby County Jail along with Shaw, who was incarcerated on unrelated charges. Tony Carruthers and Shaw were in the law library when Tony Carruthers allegedly told Shaw that he had some what the fuck is, oh Lord, y'all forgive me for saying that. That made me mad right there. Because I'm reading this one. I lost my place. Lord, forgive me for cussing like that. Okay, so kilograms of cocaine. Following the arrest for the unalive petitioners, was incarcerated in Shelby County Jail along with Shaw, who was incarcerated on unrelated charges. Allegedly, Tony Carruthers and Shaw were in the law library when Tony Carruthers allegedly told Shaw that he had some other unidentified individuals went to Dolores Anderson's home looking for his money. Marcello's was not there when they arrived, but Tony Carruthers told Dolores to call her son and tell him to come home. It's something important. When Anderson arrived, the defendants forced Anderson, Tucker, who was with Anderson, and Dolores Anderson into the Jeep at gunpoint and drove them to Mississippi, where the defendant shot Marcello's, Anderson, and Tucker and burned the Jeep. According to Shaw, the defendants then drove all three victims back to Memphis in a stolen vehicle. Shaw testified that after they put Marcello's, Anderson, and Tucker into the grave, Dolores started screaming, and one of the defendants told her, "Shut up, or she would die like her son," and Tony Carruthers also the bodies would never have been discovered if they wouldn't have went and told them folks. Now, let me just say this. They're saying, okay, so now we heard what the medical examiner said. Now, people get stuff wrong, okay? Where my glasses at? I can't see shit. But we heard the medical examiner say, now there's a discrepancy right there. Okay. And I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but there is a discrepancy right there, right? So when you okay, so if Mr. Shaw says that Carruthers told him that once they went down there and shot to Mississippi and shot them and then brought them all the way back to Memphis. If they went to an undisclosed area in Mississippi and shot them, they'd have shot them and left them all out there. And why would they bring them back to Memphis just to bury them? Okay. But then you heard the medical examiners, you heard them say that she was thrown into the grave first, and the boys were thrown into the grave on top of her. And that's how she ultimately passed away too, from suffocation, from the way that her head was in the dirt when they threw her down there. They threw her down there first, and then they shot, I believe they shot them when they got out there. Okay. And then they threw them on top of her. So it could not have happened like that. You know what I mean? Like that's a discrepancy to say that once she saw them throw the boys into the grave, they threw her into the grave on top of them. That didn't happen because, and it's just a discrepancy. I guess in the court of law it means everything, but it's just a mistake, right? Because they was on top of her, so they was on top of her. You see what I'm talking about? So she could not have started screaming once they threw them in the grave, and then they got mad and pushed her in there because they was on top of her. They threw her in the grave first, right? So that's just a discrepancy. That's all. Anyways, and maybe who knows? Um, it says also Shaw that the bodies would never have been found, and hire an attorney to post bond because the prosecution would then learn that the murders had been a hit. Carruthers allegedly told Alfredo Shaw that Johnson also was supposed to have been hit, and that Terry or Jerry were the main people behind having these individuals unalive. Carruthers allegedly said that Durham's wanted revenge because Anderson and Johnson had previously stolen from them. I don't know who Durham is. Is it Durham? It says in response to questioning by Carruthers, Shaw alleged that he had told the press that his statement to police and the grand jury testimony had been fabricated but said he had done so because Tony Carruthers had threatened him and his family. Acknowledged, according to Shaw, one of allegedly Carruthers' investigators had arranged for a news reporter to speak with him about recanting his story. Okay. It says, as impeachment of his own witness, Carruthers called both Jerry and Terry Durham, twin brothers, as witnesses. Durham's denied knowing Shaw and said he had never been party to a three-way phone call involving Shaw and Carruthers. Now, y'all, now listen. Now that don't say, that don't, because why would you have somebody on three-way if you're gonna be okay? People do crazy stuff though. If you're gonna be talking about a capital murder, you're gonna have a person on three-way to listen. Oh Lord Jesus. Tony Carruthers also called attorney A.C. Warden, who testified that he was initially retained by Carruthers. That's why Carruthers didn't get off. Lord have mercy. Nobody retains him. It says the Carruthers' mother to represent her son these murder charges, but was required to withdraw because of conflict of interest. Tony Carruthers called an administrative assistant from the Shelby County Jail who testified that jail records indicated that Shaw was not in the law library at the time, as he said he was with Tony Carruthers in either February or March of the 1994. Remember, he had said that Carruthers had confessed to him that he did these unalivings while they was in the law library. Whenever they go to the law library, because I work for the sheriff's office, they have to sign out. They have to, y'all, a lot of y'all done been to jail up in here. It has to be documented when they come out of the cell for wherever they're gonna go, right? And they're saying that it was not documented that he had ever been in a law library with Carruthers. Okay. Um, by March to early April 94, which would have afforded him the opportunity to interact with Carruthers. The record reflects that Shaw came forward and provided a statement to police, and that indictments were returned in 2 days later. Based upon his proof, the jury found each defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of 3 counts of first-degree murder and especially aggravated robbery. After unsuccessfully attempting other avenues of relief on September 21st, 2021, the petitioner filed a petition requesting comparison of prints taken from Miss Anderson's home with known latent prints of Miss Anderson's home with known latent prints of Ronnie Irvin. It appears that James Montgomery in 2010 or 2011 alleged to a defense investigator that Ronnie Irvin was the kidnapped man involved in these crimes. The petitioner argued that he would not have been prosecuted, convicted, or sentenced to death if the prints from Miss Anderson's home had matched Mr. Irvin's known prints. The post-conviction court dismissed the petition, concluding that the petitioner was not entitled to mandatory or discretionary testing. It is from this judgment that the petitioner appeals. So that is, they're saying that James Montgomery basically said who it was allegedly that was with him, and they went to Cello's home because it was $200,000 in the attic of his mother's home. Well, they took her, kidnapped her, because they didn't want to leave no witnesses, right? So James Montgomery allegedly had said that he gave the name of supposedly of a man that was with him when they went to the home to get the money, and Cello's mother was there, so they ended up kidnapping her too. Okay. And he says the name of this guy, when he initially was given another trial and appeal and decided to plead guilty to a lesser charge, he gave a name of a man that was with him. Allegedly. Now, here's the thing: it does not say anything about them looking into this man. I don't know if the man was supposedly has passed on away or something like that, but I find it weird if James Montgomery gave them a name of a man. It is never mentioned. That it don't mean that nobody else was not involved, but because I believe I felt like it was multiple, because you had James Montgomery's brother who appeared, it was down there at the grave too, Jonathan. But Jonathan initially told, right? Jonathan told. And what's so weird is I think that Jonathan's unaliving was classified as a suicide in the jail. They found him hung in his cell. But when you talk to all of the old head jailers, they say that some gang members were sent down to Jonathan's cell allegedly by his brother, because he was going to testify against him and killed him. So I never understood that. And here my right hand to the Lord. We was out there at the training academy on in service, because we used to have to go to in service, and those jailers who had man pod and all of that, they talked about lot of the stuff that Montgomery had did, they are sentenced. So he had wanted a gun, I guess, for protection. And so they said that somebody snitched, and DRT went in when somebody snitched. DRT and the gang unit went in to do a shakedown on Montgomery's cell. And when they went in to do a shakedown on Montgomery's cell, Montgomery was standing there laughing at them and said to them, "Y'all late, because I already sent the pistol. He had sent the pistol by another inmate that was going to the correction center, wherever it was that they was going to serve out their sentence a whole month ago." He told him, "Y'all late. Y'all shaking down my cell. I've been sitting there. It's gonna be waiting on me when I get up there." So he had already sent the pistol by another inmate out of the jail so that he could have some protection when he got to wherever it was when he left the 201 Populous to serve out the rest of his time, right? And they also talked about his brother, the one that they're talking about, Jonathan. They talked about Jonathan, and they talked about Jonathan, and they said that Montgomery. They said that Tony Carruthers was more mentally ill. They said that James Montgomery was more of a cold-hearted killer. Okay. So, but I don't know. That's just allegedly. But they said Tony was crazy too. Of certain offenses, including first-degree unaliving, may at any time file a petition requesting the performance of fingerprint analysis of any evidence that is in the possession or control of the prosecution. Okay. Law enforcement analysis of any evidence that is in the possession or control of the prosecution, law enforcement, laboratory, or court, and that is related to certain fingerprint evidence. Okay, I don't want to read that. Well, maybe I should, because it talks about it resulted in judgment of conviction, depending on the situation. After notice, let's see, after notice to the prosecution and an opportunity to respond, the trial court shall or may have been prosecuted. Okay, so I don't want to read that. It says in Smith versus State. Okay, it's talking about DNA analysis. It says the court does not find that a reasonable probability exists that Tony Carruthers would not have been prosecuted or convicted if the hoped for results are obtained through the requested fingerprint analysis, or that a fingerprint results that would have been rendered the petitioner's verdict or sentence were sentence more favorable if the results had been available at the proceeding, leading to found fingerprints of somebody else. They still feel like that Tony Carruthers would have been convicted. They're saying that they don't. They said that they don't feel like it would have made a difference. Other fingerprints being on the scene, they don't feel like that makes a difference. It says first, even if Mr. Irvin's fingerprints had been found in Miss Anderson's residence prior to the indictment and or trial and or sentencing in this case, there was no proof explaining the relevance of the fingerprints at the time. The alleged connection of Mr. Irvin to this case was not known until 2010, more than a decade after the indictment. Conviction and sentencing of Mr. Carruthers in this case without a known connection prior to the indictment and or trial and or sentencing in this case, there is no reasonable probability that Carruthers would have not been prosecuted or convicted. Okay. If exculpatory results had been obtained through fingerprint analysis and no reasonable probability that the fingerprint results would have rendered the Carruthers verdict or sentence more favorable if the results had been available at the proceeding leading to the judgment of conviction. Second, if there had been proof that Mr. Irvin was involved, that fact would not have eliminated the possibility that Tony Carruthers was involved. Third, there was overwhelming evidence, as noted by the state in this case, that Tony Carruthers was involved. Regarding prong to, which is the time in the statutes, the court believes there is ample evidence to show that the prints located in Miss Anderson's residence are still in existence and in such a condition that fingerprint analysis may be conducted. The court bases this findings on the representation that the prints were run through the APHIS system in 2022 and still exist. Regarding prong 3, which is similar in both statuses, the court finds the fingerprints of Ronnie Irvin were not previously subjected to fingerprint analysis and were not subjected to the analysis that is being requested now. I will say this. I used to have to fingerprint people. When I first started with the sheriff's office, I worked in IDFP and intake, and so we would have to fingerprint people and through the APHIS system, and so it always keeps a memory of the fingerprints. So when people would come in, when I was working in the booking window for a little while, and people would come in and they would, let's just say they would get they didn't have any ID, and they would get a bogus name. So we would, when they would come to the booking window, we would have to tell them, put your fingerprint on that. So we would always be able to tell the officers it's another name that's coming up, because their name will come up when they put their fingerprint on the fingerprinting thing in the booking window. 3 things would come up. Their real name would come up. Their if there was a med alert, okay, and their R9 number would come up. And so that's how we would know to put on their tickets. There's a med alert, which means they got some type of disease like the H to the I to the V, hepatitis or something like that. And then we send that over there to the nurse, that all of that will come up, because it would say med alert, the name. And so we will be able to tell the officer on the ticket, well, the officer couldn't change it, but by the time they got to IDFP, they put their real name on whatever it is that they had, because the APHIS system keeps a memory of your fingerprints always. So, hold on one second. So they're saying that this young man that allegedly Montgomery has said that was with him, Mr. Irvin, when they ran the fingerprints, it didn't come up. So that probably meant that Mr. Irvin, if this is a real person, had never been to jail, right? or whoever it was had never been to jail, because they found fingerprints of several people that they said was identified. They couldn't get hits on them because you can't get hits on fingerprints of people that have never been to jail, right? Um, the evidence in the record supports, it says, following the review, the post-conviction court concluded that the petitioner had not met all four prongs as required by statute and dismissed the petition. The evidence in the record supports the trial court's conclusion that the petitioner failed to show that the petitioner would not have been prosecuted or convicted if exculpatory results had been obtained through fingerprints analysis, and that he would have gotten favorable results if the results had been available before trial and sentencing. At best, any alleged exculpatory information would have led to a possible fourth participant, not in the crimes. Even if the analysis revealed exactly what the petitioner asserts, it would not have undermined the significant evidence of James Montgomery. And it says the state's evidence at trial showed that the petitioner planned out these crimes months before and revealed those plans to others. His statements to others indicated anticipation of Marcelo Anderson's murder and even the specific method he planned to use to conceal the murders: burial in a cemetery. His co-defendant Jonathan Montgomery took the police to the exact location where the bodies were buried. While in jail after his arrest for the unalivings, the petitioner confessed specific details of the crimes to other inmates. Further, he claimed the victims' bodies would not have been found had Jonathan Montgomery not informed the police. Thus, the petitioner has failed to meet all four prongs. Okay. The petitioner also asks the courts to reweigh the credibility of a state witness in light of his involvement as a confidential informant for the state. The post-conviction court made the following findings as time issue. Finally, the credibility of Mr. Shaw and or discovery that he was a paid informant is irrelevant to the petitioner pending before the courts. Okay. Y'all, I don't know what page I'm on because it ain't even showing no more. It says, according to Tony Carruthers, accordingly, because the petitioner failed to satisfy all four elements of Section 404 or Section 405, the trial court did not abuse its discretion when it summarily, my tongue got tired, dismissed his petition. The petitioner is not entitled to relief. Okay, that was okay. So that was okay. The conclusion. Based on the foregoing reasoning and authorities, we affirm the post-convictions court's judgment. Okay, so I don't know how I got down. I know I didn't read 15 pages. I must have just been, I might have did though. But anyways, it was a lot of stuff that came out because when when James Montgomery he filed for an appeal on a technicality, James Montgomery had not been in and out of jail a whole lot. And according to him, he felt like having his trial with Tony Carruthers made him look guilty. Okay. And so based on that, an appellate judge agreed with him and gave him an appeal to another trial. Okay. Gave him an appeal, but instead of going to trial again, he agreed to plead out and to second degree murder. And that is when he alleged that Tony Carruthers, he says Tony Carruthers was not with him at the graveyard. It was another man. Okay. Which what's weird to me though, if he said that there was another man, why didn't the police look into that? That I don't see where they looked into that at all, other than they felt like, basically, in other words, they felt like Montgomery was not credible. They felt like he wasn't credible. So I guess even with other fingerprints and stuff being on there, they felt like he wasn't credible. So and because whoever these people that have the fingerprints that they found, it wasn't an APHIS, so they didn't bother, which is weird. Anyways, y'all, I hate it for Tony Carruthers' family, but my heart also goes out to the victims, and that was a heinous way that they suffered. But here's the thing about it: the family is still not getting justice. Let's be real about that. Anytime you got Tony Montgomery walking around outside, and he admitted that he did this, when he pleaded guilty to second degree murder. You got other people that was possibly involved in this. I mean, they still not getting no justice. I think it was a travesty of justice when you let one of them out. My thing is, if Tony is gonna get the death penalty, all of them should have the death penalty. You don't let one out on the technicality, and he plead guilty. He get out on the technicality and kill the other. I was talking to one of my friends that's a police officer, and I said, I was telling him how I felt about that. And he said, "So are you saying to me that because one decided to plead out and the other one didn't, that the other one should not be killed?" I said, "Yes." My thing is, if they let one out, why not just commute his sentence to, especially if they're saying give him a stay? And I'm not caping for him or anything, because I believe that he was involved. I absolutely do. But my thing is, I think his sentence, since they got one of them out, and then they ain't bothering to look for the others who had um they said there were other fingerprints that was unidentified, commute the man's sentence. But I don't know, y'all. Oh my goodness, is I love you could get it. So I wonder, because they're executing another man tomorrow in another state. They're executing a man down in Texas tomorrow for a 1987 unaliving. It was a black guy that killed a older white lady. They're executing him tomorrow too. I forget where in Texas, in one of those cities down there in Texas. He says he pleaded out, but Montgomery helps close a murder case. Hmm. What murder case did Montgomery help close out? So, like I said, y'all, it's sad all the way across the board. The way that they died is, oh my God. And I don't know how do they plan to, because the state of Tennessee still has the electric chair. Mickey Wright, the code enforcer. So James Montgomery told them about what happened to Mickey Wright. So, mm, that's something, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was working Crime Stoppers when, and we were the ones that went over. It was our crew that went over there and paid out that money. It was a white lady that came up in there and got that $25,000, and they paid her in cash. They tried to say she was the one that solved it, and that's the only reason why I know is because we were in Crime Stoppers. We paid, we you know well, we didn't pay it with our money, but we were the ones that was working in Crime Stoppers. Major Williams was the major at the time, and we went over there and paid that lady, and she walked out of there with a big duffel bag. Dale Martis was locked up with Montgomery. Is Dale Martis? Is that the white guy that killed Mickey Wright? And he didn't get no time either. Who is Dale Martis? Let me see. Is that the white guy that killed Mickey Wright? Oh, so he was sentenced to life in prison. It says the Justice Department announced today that Dale Martis, 57, was sentenced today to life in prison with no possibility of parole for the racially motivated killing of Shelby County 10 code enforcement officer Mickey Wright. Now, those of you all, do y'all know who Mickey Wright is? Y'all know that Mickey Wright is Memphis Hits, the producer. That's his father. K Michelle, one K Michelle said uh abused her, and he was married to Lil Wayne's baby mama. Um Memphis, that was his father, the code enforcer that man killed. It says Martis pleaded guilty on March 21st, 2021 to the racially motivated killing of Officer Wright. Last week, federal prosecutors and investigators discovered that Martis murdered another man, Henry Ackerman, in the summer of 98. They confronted Martis with the new information on July 1st, 2021, and Martis confessed to the second murder. So he had killed another man. Judge Donald imposed the life sentence after Martis dropped his objections to the sentencing recommendation and admitted that his killing of Wright was first-degree murder. In addition to agreeing to the federal life sentence, Martis also agreed to plead guilty to first-degree murder for the murder of Ackerman in Shelby County Criminal Court, and was sentenced to life. Martis murdered Mickey Wright on April 17, 2001, and was federally indicted for the killing on January 2008 after pleading no contest to the state murder charges. The defendant committed a heinous act of hate-filled violence, and today's life sentence sends an unmistakable message that such conduct will not be tolerated in our society, says Thomas Perez, Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division. Oh my God. Whew. But it says he pleaded guilty and got 15 years. It says Memphis, Tennessee. In this case, a white auto dealer pled guilty to murdering a Memphis code enforcement officer who happened to be African American. The accused state that he not only killed the code enforcement officer, but he chopped up his body into pieces and stuffed parts of his remains in vehicles that were due to be crushed. The dealer, Mr. Dale Martis, pleaded guilty to murder charges, and he received, with the okay of the prosecution, of a sentence of 15 years. The dealer warned the Memphis code enforcement officer to not send any African Americans to inspect his property. Wow. Mm. Lord have mercy, Jesus. And they gave him 15 years, but he confessed to killing another man. Let me see here. Here you go, right here. Yeah, that's him right there. That's who killed Memphis' dad. He says he told the city of Memphis to never send another black person out there to inspect his property or he was going to kill them. Memphis and them got broke off though. They got millions and millions and millions of dollars. Memphis brother Jason went to school with my little sister, and they lived like around the corner from us when we was growing up. And Jason was a really nice kid. He used to always come around there, ask my sister come outside so they could play ball in the yard and stuff. But yeah, that was messed up what happened. That was messed up. And that's something, and I'm glad, but it was a white lady that came and collected that money. So they're saying that Montgomery was the one that told it. So I mean, the one that solved the case, and they paid somebody else. Oh, okay. So Montgomery gave them the information, but didn't testify. Okay. I wonder how Montgomery know about it. How did Montgomery know about it? I know this guy didn't tell him because this guy was real racist. He didn't like black people. He didn't. But I bet you he was selling them cars to black people though. He didn't want no black man coming to inspect his property because he felt like he was superior to a black man. But I bet he was selling them raggedy lemon cars to black folks, making his money. It says he exposed from behind the scenes a for hire plot. They were locked up together. Oh wow. Whew. I tell you, that's just too much. Oh, hold on. Be quiet. So this is Mickey Wright Sr. right here. That's Memphis daddy right there. That's who was killed. And he was missing for a long time. He was missing for a long time. Wow, Margie tried to put a hit on Mifid's mama. Oh my God, he definitely don't have a soul. She was very. She used to call. Oh my God, like it was so sad. It was so sad. It really was. It really was. It was so sad. It was. I remember that case. Um, we dealt with the tips and stuff and the payouts as it relates to that case. I tell you, it's just so sad. He got his racist. Is Marty still in jail? He might have been uncroaked over. He already his stomach looked like his kidneys bad. Hey, he kicked the bucket yet? I wonder if he did. Let's see. Marty's Dale Martis. Um. Oh wow, they just remembered Mickey Wright. It's been 25 years. Oh wow. Oh wow, y'all. That's it. It's final. They was waiting for the federal court to since the governor denied it, they wanted the federal court to stop the execution. It says federal court declines last ditch efforts for new DNA testing before Memphis murderer's execution. So it says convicted Memphis unaliver Tony Carruthers is set to be executed Thursday morning in Nashville. However, with less than 24 hours remaining, advocates are still pleading for justice officials to halt his execution until new forensic evidence in the case can be tested. Wow. I tell you, that's it. I I'm really I really don't know what to say. I don't. Um Somebody put this picture up. That's Tony Carruthers right there. I guess it. I guess that's his mother because I remember her. Those are some beautiful people. I'm talking about. They're physically they are beautiful. I remember his mother being on the stand. I really hate this, but I do understand like that. I understand like the victims gotta they have to get justice, but I really feel like it's a travesty of justice for the victims because according to law enforcement, the coldest one of them is walking the street. So it's still a travesty of justice. I feel like either you electrocute or do whatever you do to all of them, or none of them. And it's a damn shame when you hear law enforcement say the coldest, the deadliest one is on the street. He says, I went to a school with his brother Terrence. Well, they was waiting for the courts, the federal courts, to stop it. When the governor denied it, the federal courts could have filed a motion to stop it, to get the DNA testing until they did the DNA test. But what the courts is saying is, regardless to what the DNA tests say, they still, the only thing that's going to do is implicate other people, because according to the courts, regardless to who else was there, they believe that Tony Carruthers was there and he did this. So, you know, King Deshaun says, I feel like Biden would have stopped it if they reached out to him. Hey. Girl, stop. I gave, why y'all barking? I thought I gave y'all enough melatonin. Y'all supposed to be out for the night. It must, I bought them some new melatonin because it was bigger. I'm gonna have to go back to their old melatonin because they up. I know. When I fed them tonight, I made sure I put a good dosage of it in their water and in their food so that they could be knocked out. It just knocked them out for a little while. They back up. I'm gonna have to go back to their old melatonin. I guess I'm gonna give them a snack and put some on that. The melatonin, they got doggy melatonin. Y'all, these dogs so spoiled. They be wanting to lay up under me. I have to get them sleep medicine to relax them and knock them out. Roscoe and Rainbow, I didn't give them enough. I guess I didn't put enough in their food. Yeah, it's doggy melatonin. I give it to them every night. It knock them out. I'm gonna give them a snack in a few minutes, and I'm gonna put some drops on there. That ought to do the job for the rest. I don't. But they wake up every morning at 5:40, like clockwork. They wake up every morning at 5:40, and I guess that's cool, cause when I get up in the morning, okay, so I get up at 5:40. They want wake me up at 5:40. I take them to use the restroom, and then I wait before I give them their breakfast. So what I do is I start prepping for my praying line. Oh, let me show you all. You guys, we're starting to get more and more people on the praying line. It's a praying line that I started. Trust me when I tell you it works. God is amazing. Y'all, God is amazing. God is really amazing. So I'm getting ready to put it up here so you all can call in. It's 7 o'clock on the dot, from 7 o'clock in the morning until 7:15. It's called the Great Awakening Prayer Line, and it gives you strength for the day. I think that praying early in the morning before you go to work and all of that. If you go to my Real Talk with Tamara like page, you can see it on there. But that is the phone number. It's 978-890-8900, and that's the code that is gonna so if you get on there at 7:20, we ain't gonna be up on there because we pray for 15 minutes every morning while we prepare for work. Okay. And we've been praying some really good prayers. Like it's all about coming into agreement. And people don't understand the power of agreement. Like we come into agreement for just so much good stuff. One of the young ladies, Miss Angel, the real boss, she really got a testimony. And so she been getting on there with me now for like 2 months. And Angel, the real boss, said to me, she said, Tamara, I got a testimony. I said, what's your testimony? Because we have been praying, coming into agreement for promotion and for wealth and for all of that, for God to increase businesses and all of that. And she said, guess what happened? She said, my old job called me back and offered me a big raise to come back. Okay. And she said, so those prayers have been working and we have been coming into agreement for that. So, only thing I say is when you get on the line in the morning, I always say just have a spirit of expectancy. Um, just expect everything that we pray for, because I mean, God spoke everything into existence and we are in the image of God. People don't understand how powerful they are. You can think something, when you say all the time, we say to ourselves, dog, I knew it. I thought that. I said that was going to happen. You have to be careful with what you speak into the atmosphere, because God spoke everything into creation and we are in the image of God. So what we have to start doing is using our mouth to create good things. And God says where 2 or 3 agree, he will be in the midst. And so when we come into that prayer line, we are agreeing. And y'all go to my Real Talk with Tamara page, child, because I don't want to because when I start sharing stuff, it gives the sickos the opportunity to start hacking my page. But my channel, but every morning from 7 o'clock a.m. until 7:15 a.m. Okay. So if you get on there at 7:20, we already off, because we be just agreeing. We're praying against generational curses. And that's something I have been wanting to pray for with you all also, even with y'all on here. Ask God to help you to overcome generational curses, because a lot of people are suffering with things that you don't really know who your ancestors were. And a lot of people deal with those familiar spirits, and you're a certain way and you don't really know why you are. And so I think it's time. A lot of times people don't know what to pray for or what to pray against, because they don't know anything about that. And it's time to start praying against those curses so that your family and your children and stuff can be broke free. You hear people talk about generational curses. Well, because it happened to my grandmama. My grandmama was mentally ill and my mama was mentally ill, and I got some mental illness. So it's just, my child got mental illnesses too. It just run in my family. Well, you can break those curses. All you got to do is start speaking against them in the name of Jesus. And I'm serious. Like, it's time to start using your words wisely. You don't have to be jealous of nobody else. All you got to do is stay in your lane and start speaking out what you want into the atmosphere. Stop speaking against other people, because the word is like a double-edged sword. You start speaking out curses on other people for no reason because of your jealousy. The word will mess around and turn on you. Stay in your lane and start speaking out blessings on yourself and on your family, and start manifesting things for yourself and quit worrying about everybody else. Okay. I think that's the issue. People have jealous spirits. And to me, that's like a demon. Those jealous spirits, that's a demon. The only time you're jealous of somebody else is when you feel like they got something that you can't have. What you don't understand is what they have probably ain't even for you anyways. What they got that's not your calling. How they got it or what they doing, that is their mission. You need to worry about your own stuff, your own mission, and get about doing that, because God gifted us all with gifts. That's why I don't worry about people. Like, that's why I can't understand when I said, dog, people be messing with my life. What they jealous of? Like, they could be doing their own thing. And so, y'all know my favorite saying is when people get around here, get to talking about, well, the devil is a liar and the devil messing with my family and the devil messing messing with my husband and my kids and all of that. I'll be saying, no, you a lie. A lot of times people going through a lot of stuff because they reaping what they sow. You can't go and cause trouble and cause hell on your job and cause hell in other people's households because of the words that you speak out, and then think that your household is not, it's not going to affect your household. You have to reap what you sow. So a lot of times it ain't the devil. People give the devil too much credit. A lot of times you're reaping what you sow because you messy. Okay. And so I think people need to start watching what they speak out, because God says he spoke everything into existence. If we are in the image of him, then we are many creators. So be careful about that. Get into your own lane and start speaking out your future into the atmosphere. Okay. It says the president. And so that's what we do on the prayer line. We just speaking out those things, into the atmosphere. We are, I promise you, I was saying something. I was praying about something. And I said, Lord, I'm going to stay positive about it. I'm going to stay positive about it. And I promised to God, it was that same day. It was the same day that God blessed me. I was like, I need this, and I'm gonna stay positive about it. It happened. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I went last year. This is just how you can think things, and you could just know it. You have to get into that energy of it. I'm telling you, you have to vibrate on a high frequency. Okay. So last year I went to the mayor's luncheon that he had for Mother's Day. I was like, when we was walking in, it was only like 150 women. We was walking in. They was giving us a ticket because they was like, we're gonna do a drawing. I said to the ladies, I was like, I've never won anything, but I started saying in my mind, I said, but I'm gonna win today. I know it's 150 women up in here, but I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win that gift today. And I promise you, they started pulling, they shook up the bag, and it was like the first ticket that they pulled, it was mine. I was like, oh my God. I said, I'm going to win today. I put it into the atmosphere. I had never won anything. This year, I went back. I went like on a whim because I wasn't going to go. And I was like, well, I'm going to go on and go. So I went, and I was like, I won last year. I'm so blessed. I'll mess around. I'm going to mess around and win again this year. How about they shook up the bag, and guess who ticket they pulled? I won the prize again this year. That's why I say you have to get into like the energy. And I'm just saying, like, it's not like the prizes were big or anything. It's just like I was just sitting there saying, I just believe I'm a win. I won like I did last year, and I won again. The lady was like, I was here last year. Did you win last year? I said, yeah, I did. To just stick your hand in a bag and pull my ticket out of 150 women twice. And those things have been happening, like just getting into my energy, even like with school. I was like, Lord, I had been wanting to go back to school. And I was like, I only got a few hours. I just want to just get my degree. I was like, I'm going to just go on and get my degree in, because I had changed my major so many times. I had no idea what God was doing for me. And so I had studied criminal justice when I was going through the academy with the Memphis Police Department, because that was required, right? Because they was paying for my schooling. And then when I injured my hip and I had to leave the academy, I ended up working for the sheriff's office. It was like my kids were growing up. I could not focus on school. So when I last year, I decided, I was like, I'm ready. I had so much stuff going on last year that the devil tried to do to keep me depressed. I was like, one of those things, my mom was like, you need to decide what you want to do. I said, I want to finish out my degree. That's one of those things that I want to do, but I'm scared I'm not going to be able to focus. And I prayed about that thing. I was like, Lord, I was like, God, I know that school is expensive. I've exhausted like all of, because I was going to school before. I wasn't studying no school. when I was going to school early on. So I had exhausted all of the financial aid really that was out there a long time ago, messing around in school. And I started praying because y'all know I went and took some grant writing classes. So I know how to look for grants. And so I started praying about it. I was like, Lord, if it is meant for me to go to school, then but my job was going to reimburse me. I was like, I was going to pay for it anyways and let my job reimburse me for it. But I was like, God, I don't want to have to come out of my pocket. School is so expensive in the beginning just to pay up front anyways. If it's meant for me to go to school, you will let me find a grant. And I found one. I found a grant and that paid for my schooling for a few years. And I knew at that point it was meant. I was like, Lord, please just let me stay focused so that I can get good grades. I promise you, I don't make anything lower than a B. I was like, dog, why is it that, I couldn't do this when I was going the first time? Like, I'm just laser focused. I was talking to my counselor, my financial, not my financial, but my counselor. And so my academic counselor was like, okay, well, when I started back last year, she was like, "Well, you have so many hours." She said, "You could get a degree. You could get a degree in criminal justice." And I had changed my major to psychology. She was like, "The last time you was here, you was your major was psychology." She said, "But you have so many hours in all of your classes. You could get a degree in law if you want to." She was like, "So it could be criminal justice, psychology, or law." And I said, well, I think I'll change my major to pre-law. And I've been loving it so much. And it's just only right because I work with lawyers and stuff every day. So, I mean, I love it. The information that I get, God has just fixed it. I prayed and asked God, Lord, let me stay focused. Let me love it. And I love it. And I stay focused, but I spoke it out. I thought it and I started speaking it out. And I think that's what people have to do, right? You have to drown out everything else. I hate to be like this, but anything that distracts me or starts to trouble my spirit, I cut it off. I didn't just get this way. I told my mama I wish I was like this in my 20s and in my 30s. But anything, and I don't like to be cruel or anything, but if it starts to disturb my peace, I cut it off. That's the only way at this point I know how to survive. And I think that's what people have to do. Like when you don't have people helping to like root you on and say, girl, you can do this, and not discourage you, because people try to discourage you because they're caught up in stuff. I was telling my sister one day, she got this friend, and I told her, I said, I think you probably, one of the issues that you have is that girl is real negative. She's a real negative person. um, and I think my sister, and she got several friends, I think she's starting to see that now. She was like, you know what? I was talking to her, and my sister is going through a situation now. She's going through she's getting ready to go through she was going through a real bad divorce, or get ready to go through one anyways. And she was real troubled. And sometimes when you're going through stuff like that, people want to see you. Women have to be very careful. Okay. I never in my life thought I would live to see women celebrate other women hurting. It's so many damaged women that they celebrate or they love to see other women going through stuff instead of trying to uplift them. And so I think as it relates to anybody, but especially other women, you have to find your village that really supports you. If they don't support you, if they keep your spirit drained, they only call you to dump their problems on you like you the damn garbage can. What you got to do is cut it off. You got to survive. It's too easy to get depressed now, anyways. I think it's something they put in the food and the water to mess with our mental. So you really have to work hard to stay sane these days, right? Without dealing with a damn lunatic. Okay. Old miserable lunatic that's got issues. Some of these folks need to be sitting on somebody's couch. It ain't nothing wrong with going to get yourself some help. Okay. I did. I had to go get in some grief counseling. And did that last summer, And that's the best thing that I could have ever did for myself. It's like I got my second wind, and I'm serious. And I'm talking about men and women. But I said all that to say this: on the prayer line, don't come in there with no mess. Come in there with a spirit of expectancy and come into agreement. Ask God, because women have a real bad spirit of they have we all women, me too. Okay, we have a territorial spirit. We are territorial by nature. That's I don't that's just how we are. We're territorial about our children, about our men, about everything. This is mine. It's just by nature. And I don't it ain't nothing wrong with that until it turns into some sadistic, okay? But when you come in there with a spirit of expectancy and come into agreement. The more of us agree, okay, and be happy when somebody else get theirs, if they get theirs before you get yours. That's how you get yours, when you can clap for somebody else, right? Some people get this, girl, I've been praying for everybody else and they get theirs and I ain't got mine. I get away from women that say stuff like that. It seems like I be praying for everybody else and they get theirs. When I'm gonna get mine? I said, oh, okay, I don't want to fool with her. Cause see, that's a jealous spirit right there. Cause you sitting up worried about something you ain't got no business being worried about. If you genuinely happy for somebody, you don't cry when they get theirs. You just keep clapping until you get yours. Okay. They said president is basically the boss of federal executive branch, right? Trump can't stop a state execution, but he got the power to call the governor and ask for a favor. And that governor kissed Trump tail so bad he'll do it. And see, that's what Master P and them got to do as it relates to C Murder. President Trump ain't got the power to exonerate C Murder. The governor has the power to give him clemency, but what Trump can do, because the Louisiana governor kisses butt real bad too. So what the governor can do, what Trump can do is call the Louisiana governor and invite him to the White House, and then he can hit him on nudge him a little bit and say, Corey Miller, um hey, he's been in jail for X amount of years, and hey, I done looked at this thing, and I don't think he's guilty. It sure would be good if you can give him clemency. I bet you he'd have it the next day. See, Trump can't do it, but he can sit in his bullet pulpit and nudge a little bit for those who love kissing his butt and being up under him. And the Tennessee governor and the Louisiana governor loves kissing his butt. Okay. If Trump had called the Tennessee governor and asked for a stay, because he can't do it. If he had personally called the Tennessee governor and asked for a stay for anybody that's getting ready to be executed, it would have happened. He can't tell him to do it, but he can ask him to do it for a favor. Behind closed doors, that is. So, I wonder what one thinks. Um, I wonder what one thinks when you have less than 12 hours. I mean, none of us know the day or the time anyways. But I wonder, you know, um, do they go get him from his cell and make him walk there? I mean, I can only imagine, like, they make him pack. Oh, I wonder how that happens. Right. He can indirectly stop it. He can. If he call and ask them to do it, they'll do it. They kiss his butt so bad, they'll do it if he asks them. But they was waiting even after the governor. Well, that's true, Marquette. It do. It hits different. Like I wouldn't walk I wouldn't walk there. I do they carry him there? Because I can't imagine nobody wouldn't touch him. I just wonder what is it? Is it gonna be injection or the electric chair? I think the electric chair is so cool. They had started banning the electric chair in a lot of states because people weren't dying. They eyeballs and stuff was popping out, and they still, it was. I don't know. To me, that's. eh, mm. I'm trying to figure out what kind of people actually work at the death chamber. They do that without a problem. They got to be half human, half animal, or all animal. Because I couldn't do it. I could not inject nobody and unalive them, and I sure couldn't take them to the electric chair and because oh, oh Lord, I think they put a little thing on top of their head and close and put a shield over their eye, and they let some water run down their head and stuff, right? And then they turn on the electric chair. They said he declined his last meal. Like I said, you all, if you know, either electrocute all of them or give or none of them. I'm not saying he should be out, but you got one. You got Carruthers is out walking around, and he was the most dangerous one of them. He was the coldest, and he out walking around, and they get ready to electrocute the other one. Yeah, Tennessee still has a chair. I think they give them the choice of if they want to be injected or if they want the chair. I think they're given the choice, I think. But I knew Governor Lee wasn't going to. Not him. The other one might have, but I knew he wasn't going to do it. I can't imagine being the one to walk him on in the one. They said he didn't have anything money. Um, I was looking at the young man's father. doctor of a death doctor. Lord Jesus. I tell you, I didn't even know it was 12 o'clock. I got on here pretty late tonight, I guess. We'll talk about this tomorrow by the time I get home from work. Um they would have it would have already happened. I know that's why I don't need to drink no wine. I didn't even know it was 12 o'clock. I don't know. I get around, I drink a little bit of wine. I ain't gonna drink. This is the second night that I have drank some wine to unwind. I'm not drinking no wine tomorrow night. And y'all know I like that sweet wine. I would be sitting over there on my bar. I still got, it's so weird because I still got that Jack Daniel and brandy from when I had COVID and I had to make hot toddies back in, I believe, 2001. I need to throw it away because it might be spoiled. As a matter of fact, that brandy, one of those bottles of brandy, I never opened. I went out of town. My daughter was house sitting for me. I came back. I said, "What?" I said, "You opened my brandy?" Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to see what it tastes like because it said it's vanilla. It's got vanilla in it. I said, "You open up my stuff, my brandy. You opened it before I did." I said, "Oh, mom, it was so nasty." I said, "Oh God, she'll never keep my house again because she always messing with something." Oh, it doesn't spoil. I didn't know that. I know it's been sitting over there since 2001. Well, it's been on the bar since 2001 because I was gonna say because I had to move a couple of times. Anyways, you guys, we're gonna say a prayer. Most gracious Father, we come to you in the mighty name of Jesus, Lord. We just ask that you look over everyone that was on this live, me and each and every one in our families. Lord, we ask that you be with um, the state of Tennessee. We ask that you be with the families of the victims of Marcelo Anderson and his mother and his friend, Mr. Tucker, be with his father and his mother. Lord, we ask that you be with the family of Tony Carruthers, Lord, because they are innocent in the name of Jesus, Lord. We just ask that you give them all peace and comfort in this time of trouble. Lord, we just thank you right now for your peace that surpasses all understanding. We ask that you let your will be done in all things. No weapon formed against any of us shall prosper. Anything that rises up against us will be condemned. I ask that you allow each and every one of us to sleep peacefully tonight as you watch over us and our families, keeping our property safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, you guys. I love you all. Y'all sleep peacefully tonight. Y'all make sure y'all get on my praying line in the morning at 7 o'clock a.m. Go to Real Talk with Tamara Facebook page, and the number and the code is on there. So if you get up in time, Y'all get on and join us in the morning. Come in with a spirit of expectancy and agreement. Okay. I love you all. Y'all sleep well tonight. I'll talk with you later.